Alright, I'm gonna hide my face so I don't distract you with my dumb face. Okay, so again, let's just start it. I already did the drawing. I'm gonna start with the cloud again, with the sky. And yeah, like I said, last night I did a similar one. I think it turned out decent, but I'm not completely happy with it, so I'm gonna try a new one. It's pretty similar one actually. It's the same location, different day, and I took the photo in a slightly different angle. I drove a little bit further in, and I actually captured some nice trees on the side. So I think that's also going to make it look a little bit better. So I'm gonna do the wet sponge technique. I'm just gonna wet some of the area. I'm gonna try to make it a little bit wetter than last night. Who's here last night? Just out of curiosity. Last night is around 9 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, which can be very challenging if you are in the East Coast. I do apologize. I don't usually do daytime live stream, mostly because my kids are up and stuff. I need to help around the house. But today's lunch we're ordering pizza delivery, so I can sort of be here. Alright, so I'm wetting. Oh, hi Barbara. You're always here. I appreciate that. Got some loyal viewers. Okay, so I'm wetting it a little bit more because last night I think I'm a little bit too afraid, so I didn't wet enough. So today I'm gonna try to wet it a little bit more. And I'm mixing colors while I'm waiting for it to dry anyways. So okay, so first thing first, I'm not going to forget this time. So while it is still quite moist, I'm just gonna get that nice yellow in it. And again, this part is just getting the glow in. Look at that nice glow. It's gonna soften up, which is great. If you look at that. Okay, a nice glow there, and there's like a little cone, witcher's hat, whatever, just put that in, that's fine. Okay, it will bleed out a little bit because there's water on it. Totally fine, okay? And I got some paint here, I'm just gonna use it right here. Okay, and I'm gonna again just pre-mix some of the color, cerulean blue, to get a little bit granulation here. Okay, alright, so paper is still quite wet, so I'm just gonna go for it. Wish me luck. Again, like I said last night, things like cloud and sky, I got one go at it. So okay, take a deep breath. Hi Karen. Yep, bonus, because I'm not completely happy with what I had last night, so I'm just gonna do it again. And we're all at home doing, not doing much anyways, so yeah, why not just have some fun painting. Okay, so okay, I'm going to have another brush at hand, so I have my brush doing painting. The other brush is just like a nice clean damp brush, so I can soften the edges as needed. And there's another little blue sky here. There's some more blue sky down here. Very quickly, I'm just gonna get those in. Okay, I'm gonna lighten up some softer. Okay, I wet the paper a lot more this time, so hopefully that's going to be a little bit better. Okay, some wetness down here. I'm gonna add some water to it. Okay. Okay, now this cloud might be a little bit simpler to do. Okay, I'm gonna mix a nice solid mixture. Okay, so because I'm dark down here, okay, I need a bigger brush for that. Okay, I'm gonna warm up the color a little bit. It's a little bit warmer here. But, you know, get that timing in. Okay, use a tip just to get a little bit of more definition here. Okay. Alright. I'm gonna get a nice damp brush. I'm gonna soften this edge right here. Okay. Alright. Got some nice softness going on, which is quite nice. That's what I like to see. Okay, so I like the softness here. I will like a little bit more hard edges on the left side. Okay, sorry for the slow camera motor. Okay, this part, I think I need to re-wet this just a little bit. Freaking Saunders paper drying so fast. Now I'm doing a little bit more wet on wet and less re-wetting. I might need to consider other brand of paper. I mean, I still like Saunders just because how soft they feel. But at the same time, I just feel they dry a lot faster than many other brands, including Baohong, which is a very nice Chinese brand. I might start using more of their paper. But, no. Okay, so I don't want to do too many brushstroke on that. Okay, big one here, a little big one here. I think last night one of my mistakes is using a brush that's too small to paint a nice big cloud scenery. So this time I'm gonna try to use a bigger brush and just, you know, very gently glide across the damp paper, very gently, okay? And make sure your mixture is somewhat dry. Okay. Okay, there's a little bit of the detail here. Okay, me step back a little bit. You step back too. Look at this cloud. Okay, I like how it's going right now. So, I think the best thing to do is to wrap it up very rapidly. And again, I'm going to somewhere more cerulean blue. Okay, some areas I would like to have it a little bit darker, so tip of your brush and down here I want a little bit darker down here. Okay, it's still quite damp, so be careful with it. Just use the tip of your brush and make sure, see how dry, how thick that mixture is. Tip of your brush, just very lightly go over it. Okay, this might not even be dry enough, I'm not sure, but we'll see. A little bit more cerulean blue here. Okay, so I like how soft this is, so I'm not going to touch it, but I'll add a little bit, tiny little soft cloud there. And a little tiny bit of dark here. Okay, and I'm gonna add so what's down here is that there are layers of cloud going into the horizon, so they're kind of stacking up like this visually anyways. So I'm gonna paint the base like so, so that they're going to feel like there's some layering in the distance. Okay, so I'll soften this edge a little bit with a nice damp brush. Okay, I clean my brush and I dry it here, and I use just the tip and just to glide across a few times. Okay, my brush is really dry, so I can pick up some dry mixture and just add a little bit more. Okay. Alright, I think it's at a good place. I need to stop touching it. Okay, so let's step back a little bit. Okay, I think this is looking good. Yeah. Okay. So it's time to just let it be. Okay. Bottom here in the distance, I am going to just use some cerulean blue and a few hints of distant clouds and whatever that's not really needed. There's gonna be a bunch of trees anyways, so I'm just going to get that in there. Okay. Okay, this looks really dark. My hope is that after it's dry, it's gonna lighten up a lot more. Okay, let's have this very subtly connects that into the distance here. So it suggests that distant cloud layering stuff. Okay. Go smooth, more water. I actually think this is fine. I like some hard edges. If everything is soft, it's just gonna look like a mush. You might not agree with me, but yeah, that's fine. Everybody got different taste. Okay. Okay, here come some soft cloud here. I'm gonna paint a tree here anyways, so I think this should be good. Should I? It's a little funky shape here. I'm just gonna add a little bit of dark to break that up a little bit. Okay. use a small Kolinsky brush and just soften this edge right here. Somehow it doesn't work out right. Okay. Okay. Yeah, that looks better. Okay. Time not to touch it or anything. Okay. So okay. I'm going to let me see. I think this is, I don't know if it's dry enough, but okay. I'm gonna clean my palette. I mean, half of it. I do want to keep some of this nice cool gray there. I think those are good color for me to keep using. I'm gonna paint some distant trees. It's still a little bit damp, but I think I can use what I have. Just make sure my mixtures are nice and intense. It'll be fine. Cobalt turquoise, burnt umber, cobalt turquoise. I'm gonna add a little bit neutral tint just to make it a little bit darker. Quinacridone gold, raw sienna. I'm just actually going to add a little bit of orange this time. Let's see if I can make it just a little bit warmer. Okay, let's see. Hope that's better. I use hair dry sometimes if I'm in a rush, but yeah, in this case, I'm gonna see if I can just utilize the softness here. So, look at how that blooms. That means I might need to make the mixture a little bit thicker. So see, I'm not digging back into the water. It needs to be a little bit thicker, okay? And let's try it again. Okay, still a little bit bloom, but this is much better now. I think I can work with that. A little bit of softness is actually not a bad thing. I think have a little bit of softness, it gives sense of atmosphere and distance. So I'm just gonna go for it. I mean, I can always come back and add a little bit more dark here and there. So but yeah, that softness actually feels pretty nice. And okay, I'm using my Kolinsky brush. This one is start getting old. I've been using this one for, I don't know, probably almost a year or so. Starting to give it out on me. And I will probably use it until it's completely out. And then I'm probably gonna switch over to synthetic almost 100% as much as possible. I'm gonna try different, also try the Vinci brand of Kolinsky synthetic brush. We'll see how that works out. But here, okay. So some nice evergreen trees. Okay, look, just a little bit of lift up with the side of your brush. You get some nice textures. Okay, don't fill everything in unless you really need to. Okay, a little bit of those highlights and stuff, those are magical. I call them the breathing space, because if you look at those little white spots, it gives you a kind of like a visual break. You feel like you can breathe within those trees. They are not just solid, hard colors. Okay, so Okay, I need to probably have a little bit more mixture here. I think my kids are eating pizza or something, so they're relatively quiet now. So good that they are helping me out right now. Okay, so I'm gonna paint around this. There's a white vehicle here. Okay. Now I'm going to finish up some of the bottom. It should be a little bit flat. Okay, not everywhere, but some of the areas. Okay, a little bit flat here. Okay, there's some kids playing outside, so you might hear that. I apologize, but hopefully you don't mind. It's good to hear there are still happy kids around with all this quarantines and virus outbreak. I live in a nice cul-de-sac, so there's some nice... Okay, here's a little bit too much. I'm gonna break it up a little bit too much white spot. Even though I just said that some white spot is good, too many of them start to become noisy, so it's a nice balancing act. Okay, but those softness there, I like them, I love them. Okay, so I'm going to continue on. I'll switch to a slightly bigger brush. Okay, make some more colors. I think in painting clouds, best to set time like 40-60 seconds. You can work on it a little bit longer than that, I think, for me at least. But yeah, you do get like one shot at it. Once it's dry, if you want to work on it, you need to re-wet it, but it's never going to look as fresh as it can be. So yeah, it's always best if you can try to finish it in one go. Okay, so I find evergreen tree a little bit of pain because just there's so many pointy tops and it's very easy to start get repetitive. I mean, sometimes even in the nature it looks repetitive because just a lot of repeating pointing top and stuff. So okay, but well, we'll just continue on. Okay, so got some bigger tree now. A little bit darker. I'm gonna add some neutral tint just to make them a bit darker. Okay, make this a little bit taller so it kind of got this nice lines, diagonal lines going down. Can give a little bit of value differences now. Yeah, I know, Barbara. So I know it's a little bit more difficult for people like you in the East Coast to see it. So yeah, luckily I get to do one right now. Okay, some dark, wet onto wet. Get a little bit of variation here. Okay, I'm going to very lightly spray some mist on it. Keep it moist a little bit longer, and just to give it a little bit of texture if it happens, which is nice. they're trees, so a little bit of texture is good. Okay, here's a car here. I'm gonna try to paint around it carefully, but not too careful. Okay. Okay. Okay, so I think this is dry enough. Okay, I am going to work on that. Gonna dry tree on the left top right now. See, I can do that. This side is dry enough, so I can do that. So that tree, let's make it just a little bit warmer. So I'm adding a little bit of orange to the mixture, and a little bit of wet on wet here, so they kind of blend into all the other trees here. Okay, just because they are separated, just because you know they're separated tree doesn't mean you need to separate them as shape. Okay, keep them into one shape. Thank you, Margot. You like you're almost like a channel moderator, asking people to like and subscribe and hit the bell. Okay, but yeah, thanks a lot. Okay. Okay, I need to make it a little bit warmer, I think. Let's get some leaves out. Okay. Here. A little bit of dry grass down here too. Since we're mixing some nice warm color. Okay. I'm gonna go ahead and finish this down here. Okay, I am going to use a smaller Versatil just to get some nice branches and stuff. Okay, make sure it needs to be a little bit drier. Tree is all the way up, so okay, I want some dry brush stroke and stuff, so this is pretty dry mixture, and I'm going to just get a little bit of dry brushings here. Okay, look at that. Now I just paint 20 leaves with one stroke. How good is that? And just play around with your brush stroke. Okay, like I said in my last video, best thing to learn about brush stroke is just by doing it. Grab a piece of paper, play around with it, see what you can come up with the paper you have, with the brush you have, and you might be surprised the amount of variety it is there for you if you give it a try. Okay. Some more brush stroke here. Okay, this is really dry, so I'm gonna just kind of scrub it a little bit like that and use the texture of the paper to help me out. Okay. Okay. Grabbing some more. Okay, now I'm just gonna use a tiny little bit of water just so that it can flow a little bit better. And I will get some more tree branches in. Okay, this one feels a lot better just for the more visual interest that we have here. And get some more tree branch here. Tip of your brush very delicately painted, like you're doing little scribbling calligraphy. Okay, so bang, 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 bang. This happens a little bit too repetitive, so I'm gonna disrupt the pattern a little bit. I'm gonna make this one coming out just a little bit more, and yeah, so it gets a little bit more less patternish looking, but it's a nice happy tree even though it is kind of brown. And okay, I'm gonna paint some of the shape a little bit more solid here so it just doesn't have that much noise. So some dry brush strokes at the edges is fine, but some of it I want to have a little bit more solid shape. Okay. Well, this is looking nice. I'm quite happy with how it is right now. Okay. Okay, see, now I'm gonna do the rest of the wash. Was mostly dry anyways, but need to finish up the ground. It's not a snow day. So what I'm going to do is to a little bit of alizarin crimson. I want sort of a neutral, a little bit warmer gray for the road. It's actually, yeah, it's like a pebble road actually. Okay, a little bit more blue. Okay, you can paint through the wheels and stuff, that's fine. It is the wheel and stuff, they are much darker, so you can paint through the wheels and stuff. The bottom of the car, just paint through them, no problem. And all the way into the distance. Most of the trees, I think they're pretty much dry, so okay. Don't need to make them really flat. Okay, that's not happening in the photo, in the real life anyways. But don't build it up with tiny little brush stroke. That's not good either. It's more important that you try to keep your wash clean. Okay. Cobalt turquoise, burnt umber, raw sienna. Just a bunch of dirt color with cobalt turquoise, and you get a nice warm green. Okay, a little bit more yellow, a little bit more handsome yellow, so it looks just a little bit brighter. Okay, now that looks good. Again, keep your mixture. This is kind of like a moist mixture. It's not really watery. Okay, some sparkle, great. Some magic sparkling. Breathing space in the grass. Okay, and we got a little bit of white spot here, So let's fill that in with the green paint as well. The trees are mostly dry, so I can paint over them. They're kind of like glazing right now. There you go. Do you think your success has anything to do with the time of day you're working? Could be, but sometimes a good painting turn out in the middle of the night. Sometimes it turn out better in the middle of the day. It's hard to say. Again, with watercolor, you never know. Sometimes they just have a mind of its own, and sometimes you just have a good day. I had a good sleep last night. Had a nice cup of coffee, which I'm gonna drink now. Cheers. I have some homemade coffee here. Hey, the channel's name is Cafe Watercolor, so you know that I like coffee, right? It's a nice cup. I'm actually wanting to do like a custom cup with the Cafe Watercolor logo on it. I just haven't get around doing it. They need like vector art and stuff with Illustrator. Just don't have the time to do it just yet. So it's in the plan though. I think it's fun. Probably gonna happen at the same time if I ever have like a membership program or something. Okay, anyways. Okay, I'm using my Perla as a synthetic brush. And, oops. Okay, I'm gonna start working on some of those cars. Okay, I forgot this car. This car is actually going to be yellow as well. I'll do that later. Okay, so I'm just going to go over it once. I'm just gonna go over it once. Because those are black truck. So even when the light is hitting on the black surface, the color is still black. Was a little bit of light glow. Okay, so here we going to just leave that because that's one of the car here. Okay, and I'll add some neutral tint, and just going to actually I'll work on the wheels later. Okay, this painting is going well, so I'm quite happy about it. Okay, so I'm going to paint the shadow side of this. This truck, and it casts a little bit of shadow to the vehicle itself, and I'm just gonna have it connect to that is fine. Okay. Yeah, I'll just paint over it. Doesn't really matter. The wheel's much darker anyways. And this car on the side, there's another truck. I'm gonna paint the side. Sorry, my kids are screaming in the door. Pizza's making them high. Okay. Alright. Okay. And well, I think I'm just gonna paint this vehicle right here. Oops, I'm touching the paper, so it's messing up the wash a little bit. Not too bad. Okay. Okay. I'm grabbing a little bit of this cool gray here, and I am going to use them for the shadow side of this white vehicle. It's quite watery. You can see the bead gathering here. So as long as I don't touch those part that I already painted, I should be fine. Okay, I need to wait for them to dry for me to do another layer. I can add a little bit of dark here. That part is fine. Try your first cloud this morning. It was fun but not perfect. Oh, it's never perfect. No painting is perfect. I mean, I like this a lot better, but still not perfect. This comes out a little bit too dark. I was betting they will dry a little bit lighter. They did not. I mean, yeah. And there's nothing I can do now. I mean, if you add some water and try to scrap it, and just not going to work out. It's just going to make it look dirty. So, best thing to just kind of live with it. I might able to add another color here just to get that contrast out a little bit so it connects to that. But there are certain things you only got one go at it. This is definitely my favorite part, that shows volume, but the softness is really nice. This part and this part. Some of this is nice. Again, a little bit too dark here. I might have a color just go across it very lightly. But most other part of the painting, I'm really happy. So yeah, there's never a perfect painting because it's not a perfect world. But I think that's fine. That's what makes a human, right? That's what makes fine art a little bit more relatable. I'm working on digital art in my day job. I'm a video game artist. Some of you guys might see my work. I shared it before, sometime last year. It's fun, but everything needs to look highly realistic and perfect, and it doesn't. And when I'm doing this, it's sort of like a relief because it doesn't have to be perfect. Right? Be as good as you can make it, but it's also just like it's unpredictable, and you also don't have Control Z. If you mess something up, there's no undo, which can be frustrating sometimes, but it's also a good way to kind of relieve you from all the digital stuff, right? Because there's no undo in life as well. So doing watercolor is kind of like, I don't know. I don't want to sound too philosophical, but it kind of helped me to kind of get in touch with my daily life, and just things just happen. Sometimes you just need to let it be the way it is, and I love my day job. I love video game. When I was a kid, I still love it. And doing video game art is like, little kid's dream coming true. So I enjoyed it a lot. And I'm doing, I don't know if you know the game called Halo. It is a sci-fi game. So I'm doing the background, the sky and the vista, which is something like I'm doing right now. But it's all digital. It's all 3D digital. Everything need to look realistic and stuff. And while it is fun, there's just something about picking up a physical brush, paint on paper. It just feels very, very different. So yeah, I really enjoyed this time with you guys, painting and chatting with you guys. It was pretty nice. Okay, so I'm going to add a little bit dark in some of the areas. Okay, not everywhere though, a couple areas is fine. Okay. Yeah, this is a different type of cloud. Well, we have some rainy days lately. That's the thing in Seattle. We got rainy days, but it doesn't happen all day long. Right? It's like a big cloud roaming in, and our area become overcast and start raining. And after, sometime after half an hour or an hour, that cloud float away, and you see something like this. The sun start breaking out and stuff. So this is like either after the rain or it's about to rain. So I like to call it after the rain because if you say storm is coming, it just sounds a little bit more, depressing, especially for time like these. I don't want to make things depressing. Okay, so I think this might be dry enough for me to work on it, which will be our last, I'm gonna say last wash, but it's just our third layer, which is make everything, pull out those dark details and hope that everything will just come together. So first thing first, I'm gonna do the wheel here. Okay, still a little bit moist, but you know what, I don't think that's a big deal though. Okay, so the bottom of the car, I'm gonna connect that to the bottom of the truck here, and it's a wheel. Okay, very loosely indicate those. Okay, we don't need to be super literal about everything. Okay, I'm painting a little bit tighter than yesterday, but still that doesn't mean that I am going crazy with detail. Okay, but you can start to see a little bit more form and definitions. And I'm going to darken this side of the truck. Okay, connect that to the underneath of the truck wheels. Okay, I'm giving tiny little bit of hints of form here. Okay, use the tip of my brush. Perla have very, very fine point, which is great. And the brush is pretty resilient, pretty hard, so you can do that. Okay. Okay. And this card down here. A little bit of detail in the window. Another wheel over here. And now, while I'm at it, very quickly, I'm gonna add a little bit blue, a little bit alizarin and crimson, and before everything that I did is dry, I'm gonna connect them and give them some shadows. It's very important that I do this now. Okay, have them connected. It's all about connection in watercolor. Connecting the big shape, join the shape. Okay. And this little cone is also casting a tiny little bit of shadow. Now do you feel the sun? With the light and the shadows in, now we see the sun. We can feel the sunlight. How nice is that? Okay, that part just glows. I'm loving it. Okay, so remember, like the first wash, I just throw that bright yellow in it and it just bloom all over the place. Doesn't really matter because now you paint those in and the shapes come out. Okay, I'm gonna add a little bit of red here and there, the back of the truck, and a little bit on that white vehicle. Okay, over here. Tiny little touches. Okay. I am loving this painting. I am really happy with how it turns out. And you guys witness it. Okay, I'm gonna shut up, my face is weird. I forgot to turn off the camera, sorry. You guys see my dumb face all the time. Or not, you guys are just focusing on the painting, which is good. Don't focus on my face, it looks weird. Okay. Like I like to turn on the camera if I'm like feeling like I'm speaking to you, just so that you can connect my voice to a face. But I'm not a big selfie person, so that's not the purpose of it. Okay, again, I'm gonna glaze this part over. Just make this area a tiny little bit darker. Okay, I'm gonna shrink the road in the distance a little bit more, so just conveys a little bit more distance. It's a little bit too thick here. Okay, use the tip of my brush. Okay, if you need a little bit of detail work when you're using big mop brush, you can just use the tip. Okay, now that wash fixed what I did, because I was touching it when I'm painting the car and it messed up the wash a little bit, but now it's fine. So I think like yesterday I'm gonna wait for it to dry and did some shadow on it. So I think the best way for me to do it is to just blow this wash dry, so I can get that in. Okay, I'm going to just add a little bit more stuff here. Okay, all right, I'm gonna blow this dry, and then I will like that part too. Thank you. Oh, thank you, Johanna. Yeah, watercolor is kind of like, you know, it frustrates you in the beginning because it doesn't do what you want it to do, and then you start to come in terms with that. You can only work with it. You cannot make it work for you. You work with it, and then you're getting more comfortable with it. You can start to push a little bit of the boundary. You can start to take a little bit more risk when you're more comfortable with. So I always say, like, painting watercolor is like establish a relationship. Like, at first you know this person, you're just acquainted to this person, so you don't know if you throw some jokes, his or she's gonna be offended. So yeah, let's play it safe. You know, just have some normal conversation, asking questions, get to know this person a little better. After you guys are closer, then you guys can maybe joke around, fooling around a little bit, and then you can maybe make fun of each other just a little bit, and you start to know that person even better. You can start to take some risk, challenge that person if you see that person has some issues, or that person can say something to you that you're not going to take it personal. Okay, you might even able to discuss about political issue, even though you guys can have very different point of view. So it's a lot like that. It's working with watercolors, like establish a relationship, like making a friend. When you're familiar, the more you're familiar with it, the more risk you can take, and then the more you can, you know, have fun with it. Before, when I see the wash that's a little bit too wet and it start to create cauliflower edges, I'll just panic and don't know what to do. And now I know, okay, that happens, I'll just give you more paint, so you're not going to grab the paint around. So things like that come with experience, and just, and just work with it. Okay, a lot of talk. Let me blow this dry. Okay. You guys can hear my kid going crazy in the background. Alright. One last touch, some shadow across, and I think that will be it for us. So for this, again, we need to have drier mixtures. So even though this is pretty much dry, I don't want to risk it. Plus, if I mix the mixture too transparent, it's not going to show through. So just some blue, cerulean blue, cobalt blue, whatever, and a little bit of alizarin crimson. Okay. And what I will do is I will do a test. I'll do a test like that. See how it looks. Okay, that looks nice and intense. Maybe a little bit too dark, but yeah, I think I'm just gonna go with it. And okay, make those shadow nice and flat. Okay, they are on the ground, they are not hitting a wall, so make sure they're nice and flat. And this can be trees, whatever that's casting those shadows. Okay, bring them over a little bit more. Okay, one here. Just okay, now I feel like there's something off outside the frame that's casting some shadows. Okay, I'm gonna anchor some of this distant trees down a little bit more, and also add some tiny little suggestive shadows down here, a little bit here. Bang. Okay, do you have any tip on how to make a good reference photo? I see yours are always so nice to look at. That has a lot to do with your sense of composition. I don't know if I talked about this before, but you can go watch one of my video about how do I use a cell phone to simplify my subject. I touch base on the composition a little bit, but basically it has a lot to do with your sense of composition. So if you take a photo, most of us using phone, make sure you have your grid on. Use rule of third grid. So I can talk about this in a future video, but your sense of composition is very important. And the reason I do this, I take this photo because, of course, the dramatic cloud, but also this things down here that's giving some visual interest, and I keep the horizon a little bit lower, so it's around the, like around the third, and yeah, the rule of third, right? So there's like a grid here, and 2 lines here, so it's divided by 9 boxes, and one of the intersection will be probably around here. So something like that, I'll probably need to make another video for that. But taking photo is a good way to train your composition. So just go out like with your phone or whatever, and if you see a nice sceneries or just regular tree scene or something, try to take photos on that and think about composition a lot. Where's the point of interest? And don't always put things in the middle. And at the same time, try to zoom it in a little bit. Our phone camera has a very wide angle lens. I'm using an iPhone, I don't know, it's 8 Plus or something. And it has like a telephoto lens. But even if you don't, you can still kind of just zoom it in a little bit. And because usually the cell phone camera, the lens is a lot wider than our human eyes. So if you just take a wide angle lens, wide angle shot, and try to paint that, it's not going to look natural. It's very easy to spot that is from a phone camera. And especially for things like street scenery and stuff, because the perspective gets very extreme. So yeah, but anyways, take more photos, take a lot of photos, and train your sense of composition. Phone camera is like a free way for you to take photos, for you to train your composition. And composition, what was I going to say? Treat taking reference photo like a painting too. And what I mean by that is you're also making artwork with your picture. So every time you take a shot, think about composition, think about lighting, the angle of your subject. See if you can make a good picture just with your photo. And that's a very important thing. You don't take photograph just because, oh, it looks pretty, I want to use that for reference. Treat it as you're doing a painting. And it's a very easy way to create a picture, because all you do is you snap a button, right? You take a snapshot. So you do all of this work in your brain, think about composition, lighting, shapes and stuff. Anyways, so yeah, just take more photos. Everybody got a phone, you just go out, take photos, take shots. Very, very easy to do that. Okay. Any other questions? I am going to sign off. Okay, come out with a nice, interesting painting. I enjoyed it quite a bit. And thank you guys for keeping me company again. I say I'm gonna keep this one, and I'll remove the one last night. Last night is kind of glitchy too. I choke out some word and stuff. Anyways, I will see you guys next time. Bye.